There are warnings that people will be left behind in Afghanistan, even as evacuations accelerate at a war-footing pace. Tens of thousands are still at Kabul airport. Foreign forces are pulling out all the stops in the evacuation effort before the month-end deadline agreed with the Taliban. The militants have already warned that any extension will bring consequences.
آمریکایی‌ها زمانی که از افغانستان خارج می‌شوند در این زمان هم می‌خواهند با ملت ما صدمه‌هایی داشته باشند، زیان‌هایی را وارد بکنند. مردم را هر روز تشویق می‌کنند که با آمریکا و با کشورهای دیگر آنها را انتقال می‌دن، طیاره‌ها را برشان استاد کردند. و در خارج هم به این مردم کدام سهولت‌های وجود نداره. ما درک می‌کنیم و ما آگاهی داریم.
For more, Lucy Hoff joins us live from Brussels. Lucy, the United Nations Human Rights Council has convened in Geneva to discuss the crisis in Afghanistan. There's scepticism over the Taliban's promises of inclusivity.
There certainly is, Steve. I mean, the Taliban was very keen to project a different image to the world during that press conference last week following the fall of Kabul. But what we are hearing from the UN Human Rights Chief speaking in Geneva earlier on today is that she's getting reports of summary executions, of serious restrictions on the right to protest, and of course, restrictions on the rights of women and girls. We know from reports coming from the country that women are being turned away from schools and universities, from their workplaces, that they're unable to leave their homes without a male chaperone. All of this has drawn great concern from the UN and from the Western world, and that is why this special summit has been called today. There was a lot of concern from those speaking there about how to protect the rights of women and girls, and a sense that really the Taliban cannot be held to its word. The real concern, of course, is that the real test will come after US and NATO forces withdraw from the country on August the 31st.
So with that being said, there's no way of knowing exactly how the Taliban intend to rule, though, other than by how they have ruled in the past.
That's right. And what certainly NATO and US forces want to prevent, as well as the United Nations, is a repeat of the brutal interpretation of Sharia law that we saw in the Taliban's previous rule between 1996 and 2001. Certainly, that was a key message from this UN Human Rights Council today. But given the fact that we've got the complete withdrawal of US and NATO forces, how to uphold those terms and those conditions will be very difficult. We know, for example, that the EU has said that any development aid to the country will come under strict conditions of human rights clauses, that no money will be given to the Afghan government unless the rights of women and other areas of human rights are protected. The UN, for its part, is saying that it will keep its humanitarian operations on the ground going, that it intends to keep its offices open, even in areas of Taliban rule. But these are immensely difficult circumstances, and of course a sense that the Taliban has said all of this before and has never been held accountable to its word in the past.
Thank you so much for putting that into context for us. Lucy Hoff, speaking to us from Brussels.